All right, we're back. Shop Class Podcast. Tonight we got a special guest, old school co-founder of the Shop Class Podcast, Matthew Barbercheck. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ron. How you doing?
Really good to see you. Really good to be back. All right. So yeah, as some people know, Matt helped me start this thing. We did it together. It was just basically on phones. And then COVID hit, and it became like a live show, and we haven't changed the format since. And then Matt moved on to work on some projects, and one of those projects is starting to show some development, and so he's going to give us like an update. Plus, we got some we got some regulars and we got some new faces. So Duke's here. How you doing, Duke?
Good. What's going on? Finally getting some warm weather.
Nice. And we got Corey. Corey, you're coming to us from Alberta, Canada, right?
You bet. Yeah. 17 degrees here today. Beautiful.
Is it snowing?
Oh,
Can I
he's
go
colder than I
ski?
am.
That's Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Oh
Yeah.
I can't do the conversion.
my God. And we got Evan Thomas. Evan was featured recently. He's got a machine shop. I actually got to talk to you about sheet metal project coming up. We should have a sidebar maybe tomorrow or something, or maybe later on. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so Matt, yeah, you want to give us like a background, an overview, or you want to just jump right in? However you want to do it.
Yeah, sure. So I know, a lot of us are on this call because we're constantly looking for ways to better the craft. And somewhere along the line, I kind of came up with this idea that a lot of what we already do mentally in our head or with systems that we have in place in the classroom could more or less be automated. We don't have to constantly be putting the brain power behind some of these decisions we have to make that typically have the same constraints from year to year anyways, or whatever else. So when I began playing around with this idea that I could give my students the project that's just right, not too hard or not too easy, and I could differentiate my instruction pretty well if I kind of set things up in a move at your own pace, like unlocking level gamified format to a degree. But that's kind of a lot to manage, like what paper pencil or on a whiteboard or whatever else. I knew I would need probably to contract some of that brain power out through technology. So I started to basically with a simple Excel spreadsheet do some of this. And I know some of you guys already do some of this. Ron's got his spreadsheet and I've got my spreadsheet. And I started playing around with it, and my spreadsheet kind of evolved. Once the pandemic hit, I was like, well, I guess I really got a good test application for this spreadsheet, which by this point I developed so that you could go through and check off which tools you had access to, and it would tell you which projects you could do, yes or no.
Wow.
And
this was almost like a manual coding.
Yeah, it was, because I have no coding, I have no ed tech product background. Don't let any of this fool you. I've been bumbling my way through this process and stumbling through it, and I'm able to hire people who know more about this stuff than me. I'm not able to do it. So,
well, let me just jump here for a second. And just say, like, it's super impressive, and you're basically a shop teacher currently in the classroom, and you had a problem that you're trying to solve, and it's a wider problem than just your classroom. Like a lot of teachers are like, well, I only got a certain amount of things I can do, a certain amount of skills. I'd like to narrow it down. And because it changes from year to year, it's almost like it would be cool if it was in some sort of formula and you put it into an Excel sheet, which that's impressive. And, if there are teachers out there that are thinking of how to solve the problem in the classroom, keep in mind, whatever you solve for your classroom might work in someone else's classroom.
100%. And
so that's why it's really great what you're working on.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to hear, because there are times where you're like, what, this whole time I can tell myself this might just work, but you're investing a lot of time and energy into this might just work idea. It's hard to know how well it'll work. So hearing things like that kind of helps keep the momentum going. And I think it can work. I'm happy you guys are here, or I can kind of pick your brains a little bit about your ideas or thoughts or how well it is. Because basically, I am well aware that if I introduce a system, you probably already have a system in place, like for what my system does, and it's not worth it for you to change that system unless it's like a 10x improvement or so, right? Because to undo what you know how to do and your students know how to do and then re-implement something new is I'm well aware that that's a frustrating transition to make sometimes. So my end goal is to reduce the cognitive load on teachers, on shop teachers specifically, so that the amount of brain power you have to expel is reserved, because this project warehouse, which I'll get into a little bit, again, we'll do a lot of the curating for you, and we'll preload a lot of decision making for you, and do a lot of the communication with students that you have to do you know what I mean, more automatically for you. All right.
It's like having an app just for your teaching, and specifically for shop teachers. There's probably no shop teacher app out there. I don't even know if there is one.
Hey, Matthew, can I add? Well, first off, I think this is a distinguished level of teaching that you've reached. Kind of thinking of putting one of these together, and so I'm fairly new to teaching. It's my first year teaching. But this is great, because one of the struggles that I think that I haven't really crossed the bridge to try and figure out yet is when you run an intro level class, but chances are we've all had students who are just at different levels just based on their background, right? Like you're going to have some higher flyers who are, they're ready to hit the ground running. And then you're going to have some students that are just going to be a lot, more slow to pick things up. And so if this helps, I see this helping, because it's a self-pacing of projects for students. At least that's what I hear so far. And it's almost like you have to graduate from this project in order to continue on. And as quickly that they want to move on, then I mean they can just do that. And so no, I'm impressed. I'm interested to hear more of what you got.
Awesome. That's very encouraging to hear. Yeah, and that's the idea, is to kind of differentiate so that you're not. Sometimes we have to hold students back. It sucks, right? Because you're like, I don't have the resources available to let you reach that next rung of the ladder, even though I know you do. I don't, and that's a really tough feeling to take home sometimes. And then at the same time, when you have students that are moving like too far behind the ball, you feel bad. Sometimes you end up doing a little bit of the work for them and taking some of those moments away from them. You feel bad doing that, but you do have to work within the constraints you have. And hopefully this would kind of help widen those constraints so that it is self-paced. It's not going to be a replacement for instruction by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it will complement instruction in a way where your students can take more of a self-directed role for the purposes of moving at their own pace. So yeah, that's very encouraging and refreshing to hear.
I'm sorry, real quick. Has anyone ever used like a badge system or like for students to like graduate through tools?
Bam, Evan, you're seeing the future.
Yeah.
He's got some sort of badging going on with that, and then I think there are a lot of maker spaces that do the badging, but I never got into it because I just can't keep track, But I'm hoping that some of this, some of what Matt's going to present might handle some of that.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into that, since that's a good starting point. So hop on the Capable Maker. To wrap up what I was saying, finishing, like, but so basically it started out as checklist, went to the COVID students. They kind of used it, COVID was always a tough time for student engagement. And then I showed it to Harbor Freight Tools for Schools. They loved the idea. They're like, well, we'll give you money to get this going. So they've been funding it up to this point. It's been very whiplashy, and I'm going to warn you now, it'll probably continue to be somewhat whiplashy just because it's kind of a level of startup culture while working within a nonprofit, while working within a bureaucratic school system. So
that's a lot.
So we're working on maybe minimizing some of those layers, but it's like you get funding, you hire your people real quick, you do a sprint, and then your funding runs dry, and then you have to, and so it's a little whiplashy. But with your guys, with everything you guys are saying here, helps me build my case to Harbor Freight Tools for Schools that this can be a project that's worth investing in. It'll help me kind of see. Sometimes I can't see the forest through the trees. What I'm hoping to get out of this from you guys, your input on what maybe our priorities. Evan's account on just project pacing helps provide me clarity in what people, are looking for when it comes to this type of thing. And again, whatever it takes to get us to reduce the cognitive load, reduce the amount of brain power you need to make some of these decisions that you're already making, so you can enhance your instruction and have, more energy for, those deeper connections or helping that student reach that next rung or whatever it is. And so the badges. All right. So badges is part of the system. You'll be able to make a badge custom made or make a badge from a template that exists in the warehouse. So
you want me to go there?
Sure, let's go there. I don't know what's
just so everybody knows, all I did was log in. I haven't done anything yet. Okay, so I'm going to click badges.
Yep.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah. So this is all mostly placeholder content. This is stuff I've made to test the system. But you can see there's a general shop in Woods level 1 badge. And if you click the down arrow, you can see different requirements for that. So a student needs to earn these requirements.
You guys see that good?
Yeah, we can read it now much better than we did.
Okay.
So this is just some example requirements. You could copy this and use it and assign it to your students, copy it and edit it, or make your own badge. That blue button right there says add new badge. And all of a sudden you can just custom make your badge. So you could use this for safety badges, for tools. If you wanted to, you could use it to, set projects, like you can't do this project until you've earned this badge. And so it won't let students access the project. We'll get into the projects in a little bit. And so it just kind of helps, again, kind of filter it so that the students can get the project. It's not too easy, not too right, but also align with your teaching objectives, because this platform isn't meant to like give you your teaching objectives. I hope that it will have examples and things you can steal when you want to steal them. But I'm pretty passionate about maintaining the teacher autonomy and teacher style within the platform.
Should I put a test badge in? And does it show up everywhere, or is it just on my login?
Nope. So this is just going to be on your login. So you can create custom badges just for yourself. Yeah, go for it. Add a new objective. Okay. You can just say, watch, listen to 3 episodes of the Shop Class podcast or whatever. Add the objective, and you can, below that window he's typing in is a list of objectives that are already in the system. Now, some of this stuff is not like very user friendly. I've got a few people, and if you're willing to be one of these people, let me know, who are going in and they're doing what Ron's doing right now, going through the process of making a badge, going through the process of adding students, going through the process of uploading a project. And we're just kind of working out the quirks and the bugs and the way it looks and different things like that. So we won't see a mass release of this for a bit, because it's not at a point of viability where the feedback we get would be not all. Everyone's going to say the same thing. Like when Ron clicked that drop down for the requirements, we all struggled to see it, right? Like I don't need to hear that 500 times. I need to hear that 5 times, get the big stuff out of the way, and then we'll do a bigger release, hopefully. that'll kind of weed some of that stuff out. So if you are interested in like interacting with it enough, I can give you a checklist of tasks to do. And what I would ask is, as you go through those tasks, you just take notes on, hey, this button sucks. Like Tim, I just got off the phone with Tim a little bit ago. And I know he's got an eye for this kind of thing. And so he's gone through, and there's just simple stuff he's been able to find that I just haven't found, just because the time and place hasn't happened for me yet. And so some of that troubleshooting stuff, the developers can't always catch it. I can't catch it alone. So we're kind of just looking to onboard some people to go through and
Beta tester.
Yeah, pretty much 100%. Yeah.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Matthew.
Corey, go ahead. You were gonna say something?
Hey, I'm looking at these like planar safety, and I like the checklist system seems very straightforward and kind of for students starting out. We talked about high flyers and then those that are maybe take a little bit longer, but having that checklist and having that self-pace, I think could really benefit the whole classroom, because we all know that there's high flyers down to students that take a lot longer. And I run a little bit of a system in Moodle where I do quick little exams with some content, but putting it into here and having a checklist, chop saw safety, making sure your hand placements are right, cutting to the certain size. I think for students and even as the teacher to be able to see and going through those checklists, I think you're onto something here, because this is my brain's spinning now, because I'm like, oh, this would be really cool for kids to be able to go through and they can check off as they complete certain tasks. And if there's any questions, there's a bit of a description in each objective, and that helps them with the tasks that they're doing and might prevent some of the repetitive questions of what do I do next, which I've found to be quite a lot sometimes, right? And now I'm kind of starting doing some steps to completion in a Word document on a TV in the shop, and that's really helped. But I can see how this would even be one step further to work through, even just tool safety, for instance, before they get onto the project. So this is wicked.
Okay, that's good to hear. So I'm going to show you this next feature, and I want to hear what you guys think about this. We're going to go to the teacher page, I think, or no, go to the dashboard. Okay, and then see that student pin there, 97350.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and just copy that pin.
Okay.
All right, and then open up a new tab and go to Capable Maker again.
Actually, shouldn't I could, okay, yeah.
Or do you want, I can do.
No, it's okay. I'll do
Okay.
it. Yeah, okay. I have to take it and put it into here.
Oh, because I'm not on first page results, huh?
Wait a minute, what's going on? Oh, wait, what's happening here? Oh, I see what happened. My bad. Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So what we're going to try and do is get into a student page and get into where we've assigned that student a project, and then view, kind of at least show you the proof of concept of that.
So now where do I go?
Up.
Where do I go for here?
Sign up. Yep. And you're going to pick that you're a student.
Oh, wow.
And just enter whatever for your email. Just make up a fake.
You know what? Because it's the same browser, shouldn't I do a different browser?
I've done it within the same browser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Put your teacher in there.
Okay.
And then email. Honestly, you could put junk@junk.com and that works. Yep. I don't even know if you have to do the @something.com.
Oh, I didn't know if that.
I don't know. I'll have to test that, because if you are interested in testing and you think you can use it with students, that would be really cool. I've been using it with my students some, but if you are interested in testing, make up a random password, just whatever. Let me know if you are planning on onboarding students, because we're not able to technically take their emails. We have to do a username instead. Didn't know valid. Is there a space in the pin by chance that got copied over? Yeah. No space?
No.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit of a buzzkill.
Okay, that's all right. Let's try.
Um,
Maybe it's my password.
is it over 12 characters?
I don't think so. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Um,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Create account. Pin no valid. Maybe let me try taking that pin again.
okay. If that doesn't work, that's all right. But what I was hoping to show you guys, and this is an example. This is like a little bug or a glitch I just hadn't found yet because I hadn't gone through this process
Let's try
enough times.
let's try this. Let's do a different browser. This is like the incognito.
Okay. But so you assign different projects to different students. They go through, and that project has almost a checklist. Like it's almost that they check off as they go which steps they complete, and then they get a progress bar that updates as they complete it. So it shows them 25%, 30% complete. And then one layer of complexity with the goal of reaching simplicity that we're adding is some of those steps you can say requires teacher sign off or requires peer sign off. And my developers went ahead and did this. It was kind of cool because I kind of pitched it as an idea and they were ahead of the game. They're like, we'll go ahead and try it. And it's not fully functional yet, but the concept was cool. I could go in and say on step 5 on this project, which is right before you're about to take a high risk cut, you need to get 3 students to sign off on this. Odds are 3 students should sign off on it. It's probably safe for them to make the cut, right? Just to kind of, again, lighten the load off of you, put some more responsibility on the students. But you could also set it, say you don't have the group that you can trust for that. You can set it for it's a teacher sign off. So students can move through 1 through 5. They don't have to ask what's next because it tells them what's next. But at the same time, you can put up, if you think it's necessary, a little bit of a roadblock or a hurdle before they're moving forward with a high risk operation. Hey, I need to see that operation. I need to see your layout before you drill that hole, or whatever it is.
But peer teaching is a valuable resource in the shop too, if, depending on the group and whatnot. But I think that's a great way to, and then it gets the other students involved too. So now all of a sudden you've got a class that's revolving around, instead of initially coming to the teacher, 25, 30 kids coming, hey, what's next? What do I do? Can you watch me make a cut? To now you're asking them to be involved in the learning. I found that's very beneficial for the students. They take ownership of that as well. And then it's nice to be able to set back and watch those students, because now you can watch the ones that are signing off or showing the demo to see if they understand. And it creates an awesome environment.
Yeah, 100%. And I find that we can move faster as a class if they're doing that. Like sometimes it's hard to get them convinced to like lean into this and help out sometimes around the class. But man, when they do, my groups that help each other out, we fly through projects, and it's really rewarding because and students can move better at their own pace because I'm not stressed if the students are good at helping each other. And I got like a middle school group right now that are across the span of 4 different projects, but they help each other out. So I'm not stressed about the one being 4 projects behind, because the one that's 3 projects behind is helping her, and the one that's 2 projects behind is helping her, and the one that's 1 project behind, and you know what I mean? And it just keeps moving that way. Not all of my audiences do that though, so it's very advantageous. And my hope is, if it's part of the culture or part of the platform, that it would help instill it as part of the culture. And it's not, oh, Mr. Barbercheck says I have to talk to this person. It's a little bit more compartment, or separate from that. It's a little bit more like oh, this is just part of the workflow, because the app told me so.
I don't know how everybody's classes work, but with mine, I have mixed classes. So I've got grade 10, 11, 12. So on any given day, I could have 6 to 8 different projects going on. So something like this is very beneficial, because now instead of, paper plans or whatnot, there's checklists, asking peers to help, asking teachers on, maybe special cuts or tool processes. And I think it makes the whole class run smoother. And like you said, like they're able to complete the tasks and become more efficient on the machines as long as the group is good and willing, being able to be comfortable, helping each other. And yeah.
Yeah, like anytime if I have we've done this before where even I stole some of Barbercheck's YouTube videos. And like if a student can look at a video or get help from another student or follow some sort of well thought out instruction, that takes the burden off me. Obviously I'm there, but I also got 20 other kids in the room, and it's really helpful if they could follow a step-by-step procedure. And like I always tell the kids, you could set up anything, just call me before you hit the power button.
Yes. Yep.
So this way that's my policy.
Yeah.
I don't mind. They could set up any machine they want. I don't care, but don't hit power until we see it. So yeah, is that part of your system that the badges are that they help each other? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I guess I'm part of the I haven't integrated that feature in as part of the badges. You could make it a requirement, must help a peer do this, or you could make it where you could long term, as a goal of the platform, if we wanted to, we could say we could give students administrative privileges to a degree and say this student specifically can sign off on this badge or these badge requirements. On the projects, it does have that feature right now. Well, in place, it's glitchy, but it works. Where students can sign off on, all right, did they lay out this hole in the right location? I don't want to do that quality control check that many times in an hour, but I know if I select, either a specific student that I trust to do that, or if I select a specific quantity of students, like must get 3 students approvals, and then it kind of feeds into that collective. We're operating as a collective right? Because it's like sometimes the shop can almost get a little bit too individualistic, and this could help alleviate some of that. That's getting a little bit in the weeds there, but yeah.
Okay. So now what do we look? What part do you want to go to next?
Okay, so let's look at projects, because I haven't really looked at that part. And this is the other thing I need to kind of ask for assistance on, is I've been building this out, and my projects that I do with my shop, as I'm sure a lot of you guys' projects are kind of thrown together, right? You don't have a lot of time to prepare this publishable set of plans, but you can send your students a CAD file. You can sketch something out on the whiteboard. You can, throw something together really quick, and your students can usually understand you because you're there in person or whatever else. I haven't uploaded a lot of my projects because they're full of those types of holes that I'm able to fill in person, but not through an app, right? And another teacher couldn't take my projects easily and just be like, oh yeah, I can run that project because they're so full of holes. So I've had a hard time, on top of teaching and building out this app, coming up with the content for the project database. Everything that's in the project database right now is pretty like placeholder content. I don't know, if you scroll down, you can see different projects that I've got uploaded.
For some reason, let me reload. And also, Tim joined us. I only muted Tim because he was driving and we heard background noise, but unmute yourself anytime you want, Tim. Okay.
And
yeah, it's a little difficult to unmute and drive at the same time.
No problem. Okay, just let us know. All right, cool. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So once I reloaded, now we've got it. Okay, so I scroll down and we got sanding block, coat rack, or coat track. Oh no, coat rack, sorry. Salad servers, peg. This is kind of like placeholder stuff. And
yeah, that's really interesting that you're seeing all that, because I thought that was all deleted.
I haven't. This is my old login. Should I do a new login?
Yeah, try a new login. That might be why the student pin thing wasn't working.
Okay, so this is like an old version.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah, yep.
Wow. Okay. All right. Give me a second here. Give me a second.
Take your time. So there's another example, right? There's just these little glitches that we just won't find until enough of us get on it and stumble upon them. But so on top of communicating those glitches to developers, highlighting them, finding them, and everything else, and then on top of teaching, I'm not going to be able to generate a decent project database easily. That's useful. And I think for people to forgive some of the glitchiness that this is going to have in its early days, they're going to want something of value. I think the project database is what could be of value. So besides, if you have an interest in helping test out the platform, if you have projects you'd be willing to share with me that I could upload onto the database, even if you think they're full of holes, I'll be able to weed through them and fill some of that. And some of it I just need to do just to also get my hey, see you guys later. Thanks for your kind words.
Okay. Yeah.
I just need to interact with that's the two things I need is test users and and projects if you're willing to share them on this database to help make the database more robust, but also help attract more traffic and onboarders.
Okay, so I got to use a different email because I'm already registered.
Let me show you a trick. Go up and then where it says Ron Grosinger, right after the R, type a plus sign.
Really?
Yup.
Like this? Oops. Like that?
Yeah, and then put a 1 or a 2, or you can put Shop Class Podcast or whatever else. There you go. And then you can create multiple website accounts on any website doing that trick.
Really?
Yeah.
Check you out, Mr. Computer Guy now. All right, I'm in.
All right, Ron. Yeah.
All right, now we're cooking with gas here. All right, capable maker. Let's do this. Let's see. We're getting there.
So right now it's got a woodworking focus, but even I've already uploaded a sheet metal project just because that's what I needed to do for my students. And you can upload your own stuff and that if Ron uploads his own project, it's going to stay on his profile. If he wants it to go to the public, the rest of us, then what he would do at this point in time is send it to me and then I would upload it for him, or I would give him administrative privileges and he could go in and upload it as well. But I probably won't do that until I know there's a few more fail safes in place because
valid email.
Oh, did the +1 not work?
No, this is for the student.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Does it have to be a valid email or just?
Yeah, it must have the @ you must have to have the @something.com.
But does that make it valid? Does it have to be valid, or am I just making up something?
No, you can just make it up.
Okay.
Unless they change that, but
grade required. I'm a student, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a senior. Okay, I'm in.
All right. So this is what the students would see is they'd log in and they'd see, all right, what badges they've done, what projects they've completed, what projects are in progress, and then what projects are locked. Why are they locked? Well, they haven't done a prerequisite project that you've determined, or they haven't done a badge requirement or
this is awesome.
Good.
Because I have an Excel sheet. I will not let them.
I know that. Yeah. Yeah, that was part inspiration for this.
It's just, you got to keep track because, I mean, sure, you can wing it towards the end of the year or whatever, but when you're in the beginning there, you got to keep track of who's done what. Otherwise, you can't be like, yeah, sure, you can use the welder, and they never even used an X-Acto blade before. It's like, come on.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, what Corey was talking about, it's very real for so many of us. It's a common denominator of most shop teachers I talk to is, I got a kid who's never used a drill before. And I got a kid who's been in the garage every day with his dad or his mom since he was 3, and like I think we see that in an art classroom where there's less risk for material and injury and time, you can reach those rungs of the ladder. I think in an English classroom, you get the more challenging book, right? Or you assign the more challenging writing task. But for us, there's a few more moving pieces than that, right? It's accessing the more challenging tool that's going to come with more dollars and waste and more risk for injury. And it's a lot to keep track of. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say the shop teachers have 3 problems or 3 liabilities. The body, the person could get hurt. You could damage the tools, and then you could also ruin the material that you're working with.
Yeah.
So if you could reduce one of those, you're so much better off. And the way you reduce it is in stages, like cardboard, you don't care. So that's out. And then very unlikely that the person will get hurt with cardboard. So you're down 2, and then, yeah. So it's just like, you just reduce it. But then if you trust them, you get to a new level, give them sheet metal next time,
Yeah. And I think the advantage of making it somewhat systemized is you're not making those, you can make those decisions once per year, or at least whatever, you get on Capable Maker, you make the decisions ahead of time. And then it's not even a communication. It might still be, but it won't be, the burden of communication won't completely be on you, because the app is telling the student, hey, you're not qualified to do this until you do it out of cardboard first, or whatever it is.
Great. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, now what's next? How do I?
Okay, let's go to your teacher page, run 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And let's go to the projects there. So go to yeah. We'll try project search, and then scroll down to those projects.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think Tim was pointing this out to me. It shows us the projects. Yep. So there's some test projects in there, and then there's the nailing an inch and Jenga block are mine. But what Tim pointed out to me was, when you go to this, you can't click nailing an inch, right?
Nailing.
No. Yeah, no, we were talking about that earlier, Barbercheck and I, and that was one of the, I guess, clumsiness of the system right now, because you can't, like, you might search, say, table, or you might search nails, and you can't just click on that and say, I want to see that, which I kind of feel that's a little bit more of a downfall. But the problem was, you'd have to go back. I don't know how I got into one of them, but then
I'll show you.
I went back and I found it, like I stumbled over it. So
yeah, we're gonna fix that. Go to projects, not project search. Go to the right. Yep, there you go. Okay. All right. So there's the nailing an inch project. So right there, the on and off button. Go back to that. Well,
sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So the on off, that's so you can toggle visibility to your students. So once this project database is full, some of you aren't going to want my Jenga block project visible to your students because it's not relevant. Maybe you don't teach all the milling operations, or you're not teaching woodworking. You could turn that off so your students don't even see it. Now at the bottom, where those 3 little dudes are, of each square. Yeah. Now you can assign students. So he can click that and he can assign that to the student he named test. Okay. And so he's going to go ahead and assign project. And then he can go to his student account and refresh that. And it should show that student has nailing an inch at 0%. Now a student can click on it. Go ahead and click on nailing an inch. Okay.
Whoa.
And here is the steps. Fair warning, this format, this view, we know it sucks. It's on the list, but there's step 1 through whatever 12, and he's checking them off as he goes. There's step 1 complete, so he's going to check off, and then you can see the progress bar updates. And if you look at the text underneath the progress bar, it updates as he checks it off. So this is two-step description.
I can't unclick.
No, you can't unclick. All right. I'm writing that down too.
Okay. This is really, dude. Okay. So, I mean, people that are watching, I mean, we got our group here, but if anybody's watching this, like, this is a leap forward from what this used to be. This is very interesting. Wow. That's so cool. Now I'm like seeing, like, dude, yeah, like, yeah, obviously you got like a couple of miles to go, but like, yeah,
Yep.
if this works, man, this would be the first automated like project management app for students in a shop class by a shop teacher. That's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they got Asana or whatever that's called, but I don't think that's for like adults.
Yep.
Not including me. I couldn't even use that, you know?
Yes. Yeah. You get lost in the weeds really quick on some of those platforms, and your students do. And I'm picky. I was talking to Tim earlier, and I was nervous just getting on this call with you guys to present what's here so far, because I know every one of us has gotten the ed tech top-down mandate of that just slows us down. And sometimes it's not even a mandate. It's just a new, someone's like, oh, you got to check out Flipgrid. And you're like, all right. And then you get on Flip, and it just doesn't work. And you're like, fuck. I mean, shoot, there's an hour or 2 hours. You know what I mean? And so I'm constantly flirting this line with, like, I need to make it available to people enough that we can work out the kinks. But at the same time, like, I also don't want to burden you with something that's glitchy and buggy and different things like that. But even just like hearing, like, hey, this has viability to me, I'm interested in this idea, carries a lot of weight, because Harbor Freight's just constantly ask, they want to support shop teachers, and they're going to ask, how do you know teachers want this as a support service? How do you know, because our goal is to dedicate resources to making shop teachers' lives easier, but our resources are limited. We want to make sure it's going to the best impact. So, knowing that's helping you guys, but yeah, the student could check through.
You know what happens with Flipgrid and all these other ones? Like, I tried a bunch of them, so I don't want to call out Flipgrid directly, but like,
sure, yeah, I just pulled that out.
It's been a while. No, but like, I want to say, like, what I find to be the issue is that they are too silly. They're like, it's cartoons and flowers and goofy stuff, and it's like, dude, I'm a shop teacher. Like, I don't want the song and dance. I want, like, what I see here. Step 1, step 2. I mean, I would arrange it a little differently, but I get the idea. I click this, I click that. It's got a progress bar. This is what you got to do next. Maybe there would be like a more info box. That would be cool. Like, what if the students like lay out the center of a board? How do I find the center? Ho, ho, ho. This is kind of the thing they're going to say.
Yep.
Yeah, how about when you're doing these other applications, whatever app it is, they tell you to do during these in-services, and they're like, what subject do you teach? And there's every single subject on there except anything related to ours.
Yeah.
Like
so
arts, like culinary,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the people doing the professional development, they're paid very well. So they should have done the research. And usually shop class is like, oh, you teach shop class? They're like, wow, that's cool. But they don't have any material for that, Yeah.
They also don't know what it's about.
Yeah. Good point.
Well,
what were you saying, Tim? Go ahead.
The other thing was, like, to go back to your comment about, like, say, Flipgrid and even like Ed Puzzles and whatever the common thing is that people are using now. A lot of those programs don't match a shop teacher's personality, and the shop teacher is that unique situation or that unique person in the building that does have that obscure personality in terms of getting along with the kids and really more about making the relationships and stuff like that. And I feel like having this capable maker in part of our, like in our pocket now, is that we can make this also match our personality and match our classroom, because, you can piggyback off of it, where it's not cartoony, it's not elementary, it's not showy, it's, it's real life. Like, this is how things are done, like documenting projects and managing projects and keeping certifications and things like that. So I feel like this is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And also, obviously this is early days, but I'm just spitballing here, and I'm kind of like thinking out loud, and it's like, of course you want to upload your own projects, but man, would it be cool? Like, Evan was on the call before, so he said he's this is his first year, as a joke, like he's still learning. Okay, I totally get it, but he knows something about machining that I don't know. So wouldn't it be cool if it was like intro to machining from a shop teacher, not from like the book written by the engineer who just retired, from a shop teacher. And so I'm looking through the steps and I'm like, wow, I could totally follow that. I could do it with the students. And then another spitball idea that I'm thinking, well, let me pause there for a sec. Like, are you going to feature other shop teachers on here? It'll say like, hey, not just the project, like nailing an inch, but like, oh, yeah, this is nailing an inch with Barbercheck, or this is, and I would be, because the Shop Class podcast has made names. Like, I feel like we live in a little, like, our own little subculture. So like if Duke uploads something, I'm going to be like, oh, cool. That was written by Duke. Oh, wow. Let me see what he did, and I'll look, or it'll be like, pen turning with Nick, or Corey will upload something, or geez, I mean, Tim turning. Are you kidding me? I would definitely, like, if I ever do a turning project, I'm not even going to hesitate. I'm calling Tim, or I'm just going on Capable Maker. I'm going to look up Tim's projects,
Barbercheck, that was a point that I forgot to mention to you earlier on the phone, was you can't see the author. That's another thing. Like, there was no room to say Tim Zavacki or, Ron Grossinger did this. And, that's another thing that we might want to, or you might want to consider.
100%.
And obviously, Matt, whatever direction you think is right is right. We're just kind of like, like, I know as a creator, you're getting suggestions. You're like, it's not in the cards. Like, you might have a plan 100%, but I would be excited to follow someone's plan. Like, I'd be like, well, that's cool, because I trust them, because I know them. Whereas when it's anonymous, I'm like, yeah, but my question always, the thing I always think of is like, did they really run this with kids yet to see if it works?
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't trust any of the software people. I trust. I don't trust like they're like, Flipgrid. Have they run it in? I'm not Flipgrid, because who knows if they're watching this. I'm saying like some, Flip the Doozle or whatever, Flip the Doodah, right? Makes an app.
Yeah.
Did they run it in a shop class? Does this really work? And constant improvement. Here would be the second thing I was going to add is, is there room to make changes or to add suggestions that go back to the original author?
Yeah. Okay. So we're tapping into a bunch of shit that's on the horizon right now, and I love it. I love it. And I'm glad you acknowledged that. Yes, we can throw this stuff up on the horizon, but there is going to be some like immediate next actions that mean we don't do that stuff for a little bit. Yeah. But that's not to discourage horizon style thinking. Let's keep that style thinking happening, and it'll be on me if it seems like I haven't listened to you because there's no action behind it. It's probably because there's just some prior actions I'm trying to knock off. And it's also important, as we discuss these ideas, let's go ahead and get to the table what you guys think will be the most impactful to you. So if it came down to you had to choose between a project warehouse or a credentialing system, which would you prioritize? So as we're discussing these features, kind of start ranking them and deciding what would be kind of the highest impact. Because this is the rabbit hole I'm learning of ed tech products, because there's an ed tech, there's infinite capability, right? Like you could build this platform out to the point where it's, calculating the cost by board foot of every single project and automatically ordering the supplies for you and sending it to the student. Like it could get extremely robust and complex. And my challenge as the project manager will be respecting all those things on the horizon, because who knows, it could escalate to that. And why not? But also in the meantime, prioritizing what's going to have the highest impact on our classrooms, the most functionality, and securing those kind of essential wins, so that we can later kind of shoot for those more lofty horizon style ideas.
Okay, so you have a specific question because you can't stretch yourself, is what at each step is what you're saying, right? You got more questions for us? Like you're saying, we have to choose something.
Not specific, like not like I don't have a specific question for you right now. I'm just saying, like, as we spitball, what would be more useful? Just kind of at least think about it in your head, and then as we kind of have this commentary, just give me a heads up, like, hey, this is a horizon idea, or hey, this is an immediate, I would implement this tomorrow idea.
Okay, well, I get what you're saying. Go ahead. What were you saying, Tim? Or somebody?
Barbercheck and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, where I know we do all of our safety tests through the Google Suite, and I think this is like a far-reaching to the stars, if you will, where having the interface with the Google Suite, because we do all of our tests, where I could just click 4 buttons and say, give me everybody that has, the scroll saw test, the bandsaw test, the sander test, and the chop saw test. I want to know all the kids that have scored above a 95% on that. And then goes in the Google Forms spreadsheet and goes, boop, 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 and gives me that data immediately. And then you can assign those badges,
Oh, wow.
That would be. But that's that's big. That's big. But it's something that is in the future that would be, I know that would be valuable for me, because that's how I do all my safety tests now, through the Google Forms.
Yeah, Tim, I do the same exact thing. I do the same exact thing through Google Forms. But, you could probably make a safety tab with like safety videos, safety tests that are, that are more fitting than the ones that come from an international website, let's say.
Yeah.
Because I've been using those videos. They're terrible. The guy's doing a drill press demonstration, and the teacher makes an announcement, and the kids start laughing at the video.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How about making safety videos that are, directed with better quality?
What is the interest of that? What is, like, I'm going around the room. What's if it was more of a safety warehouse than a project warehouse? Let me ask that. If you had to choose between the two.
I actually, this will come back to hurt me probably, but I don't do like a safety thing. I do like safety by culture. On purpose, I will show people how things break. I'll have them break them in a controlled experiment. And so they understand that things do fail and that you cannot save it. You're not going to be able to like catch the blade or whatever.
Sure.
So I do it through. Yeah, so I do failure demonstrations. That's my safety thing. So I wouldn't, although it would be good.
Yes.
It would back up. It would make it more robust for me, but I would rather projects. That's just my 2 cents.
Gotcha.
I would rather projects also, but
okay.
Honestly, because right now what we do with Sadie is not the best. It works, but it's not. It could be better. But I think, I've been saying you do X project for 12 years, and you're like, I just want to do something different, and
Sure.
I need to know that what I'm searching for is going to be valid with kids, because doing the Google search, typing in rabbit joint projects, you don't get anything that's valid. You get pictures, you get this, you get things that people call a rabbit joint, but when you look at it, it's really a dado, and then you got things mislabeled on the net. Now you're just searching through garbage that now I just wasted my time, and you're like, well, now I'm going to go back and still do my same project I've done for the past 12 years. So I would rather a project warehouse than, say, the safety, because I want to make sure that stuff is, vetted, stuff is robust, stuff is, kid-oriented.
Awesome. And a note on that, because Ron mentioned it as well, that is like a non-negotiable for me. There was a little bit of talk between my mentor and I, and a couple other conversations as I was managing this project. Like, can I just upload a bunch of projects? Can I get some magazine to send me a bunch of project plans and everything else? I might still embrace some of that, but I kind of drew the line up to this point and just said, no, these need to be teacher vetted projects. Because to Ron's like, I don't trust it. And he's right. How many of us have started a project? We saw in some fine woodworking magazine, they overlooked some detail, which for a hobbyist isn't a huge deal. But when you're doing a project at scale with 15 or 30 students doing the same project, you have time to catch that maybe, or you have to pivot all of a sudden. That's a little bit more consequential. So I do want this to be a teacher vetted project warehouse. Now, I do want to be clear. My goal, it's not going to be an either or for this project or safety thing. I think, Duke, your ideas were bountiful and are very they're written down and going to be implemented as a hopefully course of action in the future. But I'm just running the thought experiment. This is how I kind of do things. Just run these what if, hypotheticals, just to kind of help filter and provide clarity as to what maybe might be the surest win, if you will. Corey, what are your thoughts between the two? If you had to run an either experiment.
I think a bit of both, to be honest. When I start my class, I think all of us, right, depending on whether you're automotive, woodworking, carpentry, metal, that first, couple weeks is pretty intensive on the safety side. So I think having some safety in there. I also run kind of like safety projects to teach tooling processes. So I think to have, and that's the other thing, everybody teaches differently. So Duke might, teach the table saw differently for me versus Tim or whatnot. So I think being able to tailor that to your teaching style at the beginning, having that checklist for safety, I think would be, we all talk about spreadsheets and keeping track of who's done what. I think this checklist will be beneficial. And then as you move on throughout the semester, project, I think a little bit of both projects and safety would really make that classroom environment conducive to efficiency and everybody, learning at a respectable pace and from each other and teacher led. So I would strongly suggest kind of having both and being able to tailor, Duke might upload something on the lathe or, whatever, and then I can go in and tweak that or add some of mine and kind of combine the two modules, I guess, so to speak. But I think a little bit of each would be awesome. That gets to be tricky when we all teach differently in different subjects, but to have a big repository of, different things, we might be able to learn from each other and say, oh, I didn't even think of that. Or, oh, that's a great project to get certified on the bandsaw or lathe. So I'd say a little bit of each.
Cool.
Nice. Well, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We can all tailor our safety rules to what we teach. But I would just say, you think the International Society would have better safety videos out there than the ones they provide. If you're an international, you watch Tech Ed for the whole nation. You know what I mean? But we did the Google search before looking for Tech Ed projects. And you know where we found most of the projects? Instagram. Not even off of Google.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when I thought about doing safety in the past as part of it, as a feature of this, basically what I run into is one, I'll be honest, it's not that exciting for me. Like I'd rather manage projects and upload projects and think of projects than say, right? Like safety's not that exciting. But two, and safety does, I think, maybe even more so than projects, get kind of like it's hard to mainstream some of that because we all have so many different types of equipment, and then they all have different little safety bells and whistles. So what's good on your checklist might not apply on my checklist for because I don't know, maybe I have a drill press table that has different clamping style, and you have to deal with actually clamping like onto or whatever it is. But to that point, and somebody was talking about it. It would be the type of thing where Duke uploads a safety checklist or Ron uploads a project, either or. I could copy them and then I could take off. Well, I have a drill press table, so I don't need use parallel clamp to secure work. I'm going to get rid of that step. Steps 1 through 10 are already copied, but it's just step 7 I need to change. And now that's my checklist. And then this gets messy, right? Because there could be 50,000 versions of the same checklist. And I haven't figured out how we're gonna organize all that information yet. But we don't need to figure that out.
I think to build on that too, for the students to see another way of doing something. I mean, we all teach our way of doing stuff, and I don't know about all of you, but if a sub comes in, I'm fortunate enough to have an old shop teacher who's on the sub list. He teaches differently than what I do, and sometimes the kids are like, "Well, Mr. So and so taught me how to do that." And I said, "Well, it's not wrong. It's just a different way." So if
Sure.
there's some different versions, I think it's always good for students to know that there's more than 4 or 5 ways to do the similar task. They're just used to us teaching how we're comfortable, but to see different steps or different ideas on how to complete that task, I think that could be beneficial as well.
Cool.
Nick.
Nick.
Nick. Yeah, did Nick want to add anything?
No, I'm along with Corey. Getting both sides as far as the safety and the projects. Because
Gotcha.
as you just talked, Matt, about grabbing this from this safety checklist or this safety demonstration or whatever, and adding it to your own, to make it unique for everyone in your little universe. I think
Cool.
that's where just like our projects get stagnant, being a different way to introduce something safety wise is also beneficial.
Gotcha.
Cool. Also with us tonight is Mark Willie, and Mark's a contractor, but also representing the T-Stud, and he supports the shop class. He's here every week. So I don't know if Mark, are you here? All right,
I'm here. I'm enjoying the dialogue, and nice to meet you, Matt.
Yeah, you too. I'm familiar with the name, and we've exchanged likes on Instagram a couple of times, I know. But yeah, this is our first.
Duke and I went to high school together.
Who did?
Duke and I.
We're on the same.
Oh, no way! Really?
I'm totally pulling your leg, brother.
No, it's so funny. Like everybody here gets along, and it's all very old school. So it's like, oh yeah, we used to play softball,
No, you've got a good reputation. These guys talk you up, and I'm sorry for showing up late. I was interested to hear what you were rolling out here, and it's nice to be here this evening.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm curious to hear any of your insight as you're listening.
I think we could have a beard competition going on here. Oh my God. How's it going there? I think Barbercheck cut it back a little bit. He was going long for a while.
Yeah, it got a recent trim, but Willie's got me beat. That's okay. We can let that.
That's funny. And just so you guys know, Matt helped start the podcast. We used to do that. Oh yeah, so Mark knows. Yeah, we did this a while ago, and this is so cool that Matt's rolling out like if you're just joining us, kind of like Mark is that, here's Barbercheck, a shop teacher, rolling out a software device that we all can relate to. So going back to what we just kind of chimed in on, of whether we want projects or safety or kind of both, what maybe this is an advanced feature, and I think I brought it up in the past, and I understand you're going kind of incremental, which is really good. It's developing incrementally. And honestly, I think that's the only way to do it. I see what Tesla does, and I see what these people come in and they try and hit a grand slam. It's not possible. You got to get guys on base. You got to get, and then you got to drive runs home. Like it's got to go little by little, and then you ramp up. You can't just like win the whole thing. So speaking of which, this might be a far concept, but maybe early on, I don't know. What about voting up the projects? So let's say I write a project, I put it in there, and then it turns out to be really helpful, and people vote it up. Now that kind of vets it out. And just like I forget who was mentioning a second ago, someone was saying, and I was kind of agreeing, is like, you don't want to go on the website and pick on something that has not been run through, because you're kind of like wasting your time then. You want to see it that project has already been run through by a teacher and they liked it, or better yet, the students. And then they can vote it, be like, actually, this one's cool, vote it up, boom, and it moves up the ranks, where you could see some sort of number. So I don't know if that's in the vision, but that's something that I think would be helpful to shop teachers.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, and that might be down the road,
but it's a good thing to have on the horizon, for sure. The closest thing we have that right now it's similar is if you go to Roadmap, and anyone who's testing this platform out, if you can hit submit an idea, and then so Ron could say I want a safety warehouse, and then he could submit that. It will go through me just to keep spam off the page, but I'll just approve it, if it seems legit. And these can be upvoted. So this is why I'm looking to onboard kind of like a core group of early test users who are willing to pay a little bit of dues with clunkiness for now. But I guess an advantage to onboarding early is you could have more say in what features are more valuable to you, by posting it on here and also just participating in the upvoting process. So I think I agree that would be cool if there's a level of that on tops of projects and maybe even badges. A way for us to quickly reference, what did Duke say about, maybe even like a comment from Duke. What did Duke say about this project? Because I know he runs middle school and I run middle school, and I want a middle school's perspective. So Duke comments on it, and you almost have an Amazon shopping experience when you're looking at some of these projects. I mean, that would be, again, it's getting pretty robust and far on, maybe even past the horizon. But I like to look at the horizon line. I mean, why not, right? By the way, let me introduce Zach hopped in. Zach is one of the folks I've hired out to help with this. He's a buddy from college. He's not done any of the development of what you're looking at. In fact, he's not done anything of what you're looking at. He's doing a little bit more of the beautification process and functionality process behind the scenes. So the next update, there will be an update coming up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. You'll see his work pop up there. So I just sent him the link so he kind of eavesdropped, and he's
cool.
He's got some
Zach?
good.
How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right. Yeah, thanks
so
for
I'm in
joining
a dark
us.
room, so I don't have my camera on, but
that's okay. That's so
it's
cool.
good to meet you guys.
That's great that you're working on this. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I currently work for a company called Bitsbox. We're a subscription box company that teaches kids how to code. And so I'm kind of in the ed tech space.
Oh, wow.
And I've been doing web design for them for 5 years or so now.
What's it called? Bitsbox?
Yep, BITSBOX.
Coding for kids. Cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, that's awesome. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're the right guy if you're working on this.
Yeah, hoping to use some of my background to help you guys out. And it's a neat idea. I'm really excited about it. So it's been fun to work on it.
Nice.
How did you get permission to use Ron's photo on the website?
Ron's photo. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
This is me when I get what's in the box? Bits box. I'm like, yeah. Buddy, learn more.
I think to build on what Ron was saying too about that voting on projects, I got a Shaper Origin last year, and they have a Shaper Hub on their website, and users can submit different. I think they're called community ideas, and then the ones that get voted move up, and there's like premium ones and whatnot. I think sometimes you have to pay for them, but that would be kind of nice. Everybody submitting different project ideas, and again, being a shop teacher, putting those on, that it's not just somebody from the design phase or whatever, hey, this is a great project for kids, and they don't know what it's like teaching 25, 30 kids. Being able to vote, and then the comment section too, I think would be beneficial to be able to if there's a different idea, or hey, this might be a different way to go about completing it or whatnot. I think that whole collaboration space would be, and communication between one another would be nice to have.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, you can't get around it. Social is king. Websites and things that are social, they really gain a lot of traction. I mean, what would be Instagram be without the community of Instagram? It's just a photo app, but they empower us with a really big megaphone, and you just click, and then, there's a vote up. And then obviously there's some background manipulation, especially of late and whatnot. But in general, if you have interesting content that you want to share with people, and they want to see it, it will get pushed up to the front of the scroll, and that makes it like a constant work in progress. It'll never end as long as that community is always trying to make really good stuff. So it's just basically like YouTube, or it's just really great to have that. But especially on a practical level, like, if you, like, even when you're shopping on Amazon, you're just like, I don't have time to be like, what is this project? I don't even read the comments. All I do is look for how many reviews are there and how many stars. So it's like, if it's 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars, and it's got 200 reviews, and the other product is a 5-star, but it's got 2 reviews, I'm like, that 2 review is irrelevant. I want the 200 review. And I'm like, boom, I'll take the 4-star, even though it's been vetted. There's no way you would have 200 sales if it was crap. It would have got, the sales would have ended.
And that's a brain saving feature. Like that saves brain power that you don't have to use. And that's the idea. Like, again, because I just know, like, I know that I have it better than most teachers. I have small class sizes. I don't have to sign over my kids' birthrights to open a back door like Tim does. Like, I have it pretty good where I'm at, and I still get to the end of the week. And I swear I'll like look at a kid and I'll forget their name, a kid I've taught for like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on there? It's like your brain, you just used it too much. And it's just, and I don't mind like being pushed to my limits, but I don't like when the kids, I can't offer a better educational product as a result for the kids. So I'm pretty passionate about this, hopefully streamlining some of these things that we have to do, like decide on this project versus this project. Well, if there's a star system in place, you don't have to think about it too hard. Go with the most stars or the most number of star purchase. You know what I mean?
Let's go back to this. Oh, do you mind if we go back to this for just a second and finish out these clicks? I just want to see what happens. So I can't unclick, right?
That's somewhat problematic. I think we'll fix that.
Okay. And now I'm going to click ahead, and that gives me the bar moves ahead, just so we know. we were going through a project, and this is a project that is, I'm on the student. This is my logon. I'm gonna go dashboard, but this is
Yeah,
a
so there you can
student.
even see, on your teacher page, you could see the student name test, and doesn't show it, but so as they're working on nailing an inch.
Okay.
It can show which badges they've completed, and then it doesn't show it right now, but eventually it would show next step is whatever step you just unchecked or checked. It would show step.
I'm gonna refresh it.
It would
I
show
just
step
did.
4 is next. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's still quirk, but
Oh, okay. So it's
the
supposed to
idea
show
being
progress.
you got 6 to 8 different projects like Corey was talking about. This at a glance just gives you a reminder of where everyone's at. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have this many students at the drill press probably, or whatever it is. Yeah. Now at the bottom below the progress bar, you can see the text updating for which steps for the, as the step goes on, drive 2 slightly smaller nails in. This is a project you can't tell very well with the pictures, but they just divide a board in half, put a big nail in the half mark, divide it into fourths, put a slightly less bigger nail in the fourth marks. And it's just a good introductory project I do with my students to get them measuring and doing there. Yeah, those pictures get a little better there at the end.
It's pretty cool.
What I think the benefit of this too, all the different learning styles, all my project plans, I have a little bit of pictures, more of like CAD drawings, and then the steps to completion, but having the pictures too, now you've got, writing, you've got pictures for the visual learners, so you can kind of tailor to the whole class by the different learning styles in there. So having the pictures and the description, it would be hard for a student to say, I don't know what to do now, being able to look at the pictures and read. So I think that's awesome.
Yep. And here's what I think. We haven't discussed this at all, but here's what I think one of the more closer to not so distant on the horizon moves I want to make is making the project upload feature really seamless. So right now to upload a project, it's not a whole lot of work, but Ron could go to his teacher page and he could go to projects and he could go to add projects. And when he does so, he can check off which tools are required, name the project, and then as he scrolls down, he can create a step 1 and add step 2, add step 3, adding an image to each step.
Oh, really?
And
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And then there's that teacher approval, student approval I was telling you about, which I haven't fully tested that out, but what did that do? That's kind of cool. Well, maybe it did nothing.
Gone.
Okay.
I crashed the site.
Very good work. My page is just, I've got so many notes everywhere because I was talking to Tim too earlier. So
yeah, but mine's more important because mine's on a shim.
Yeah, that's right. I wrote his on a wooden shim. I was in the garage and it was the closest writing surface I could find. It's around here somewhere. I will find it. But,
I'll email you. I'm going to email you a comprehensive list and the other details I talked to you about. But
that's super helpful. Thank you.
I think, and I talked to Barbercheck about this also earlier, was, I think Barbercheck is very close to the operation in terms of having, his ideas and the layout and the people involved in his project, but yeah, he kind of understands how everything works. But you need to sometimes put that gorilla in front of the software and say, go at it. And when Barbercheck reached out to me, he said that, I need somebody just to play. And that's kind of what I did. And I even said to him on the phone earlier today, I said, Barbercheck, I literally went in, I put in 3 steps, and then I literally deleted a step just because I wanted to see if it would actually delete it. But Barbercheck may not have done that. He may not have gone and tested that feature, and maybe he didn't check something that I checked by, uploading a PDF, logging back in to make an edit, and then uploading a new PDF to see now which PDF is really there. Was it the first PDF or was it the second PDF? So, and I think having these people involved really gets that gorilla in front of it to say, does it work? And, you know, me calling Barbercheck up and talking to him for 30 minutes earlier today, you know, gave him a lot of feedback. He's like, well, I didn't think about that. Or that makes really good sense. Or let's talk about that on the next revision. And, you know, it's all that other things that he might not even thought about, which is really beneficial to him. And I'm just looking at my list like, I'm basically telling you what's wrong or what I found is wrong, but that feedback is valuable for him.
Totally.
Yeah, it's worth more than a compliment at this point, you know, just because I can't see the forest through the trees. And like I was telling Ron before we hopped on, I get to the end of the teaching day, and that's enough for a human to do. Like when we get to the end of a teaching day, we've contributed, we've met our quota for the next 3 days, I think. Of, you know, like so I mean, I continue with this because I'm having fun with it, but I will have blind spots, just major blind spots. I've been in conversations with Zach. I'm sure sometimes I don't even make any sense to him because I'm just, you know, got the freaking teacher brain going. But yeah. I think the project up. So here's what I'm experiencing as I use this platform, and I have used it some with my students even. I want to upload a project extremely seamlessly. So I'm talking like I want to be able to upload the project as I'm designing the project or creating the project for the material.
Yeah.
So like as I'm doing that parts of an inch, which is just a board, split it into 16ths and put a different type of nail at each mark. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyways. I want to be able to have my phone almost like TikTok is very good at this. I can make a multi-clip video inside the app without having to upload or transfer or download, you know what I mean? Like, and it works really well. So this is, and let me know what you think of this compared to the other features we've been exploring. For me, to get this platform to substantiate itself, it's going to need projects warehouse. It's clear that I don't have the capacity to get projects on the warehouse. I can ask for people to contribute, volunteer different projects, and I can upload those and filter through them. If I don't have to create the actual projects as well, that helps a little bit. Obviously, we want to step into a point where I don't even have to be the one that handles it. If you want to upload it to the community, you can upload it to the community. But in the meantime, and even at that time, I think we want that project uploading feature to be like you're making a sheet metal phone holder. You take a picture as you're doing it. You write down what step 2 is as you're doing it. And you don't have to upload. You're not moving PDFs or whatever else. Compared to everything else we've talked about feature wise, does that sound as attractive as everything else we've talked about, or maybe even more or less?
That's the best one for me.
Okay.
Because that's how fast paced
Yes.
my day job is.
Yep.
It's bonkers. I've got bells going off. I'm checking my social media. I'm managing kids. I'm also building stuff. And there's a fight in the hallway. It's too crazy. If I got a moment to make something where a kid is making something with me and I'm like, awesome, get a background. Bam, let's take a photo. Boom, that's step 1. Go. All right, next. You know, like that's how fast it's happening. If I could upload a project and then have other teachers from other places of the world like try and use it and comment on it and it refines itself, like that's amazing. That would be an amazing thing because it would be an incredible time saver. So seamless upload of a project. You got my vote for that one. That's priority, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with Ron on that too. I also think maybe might be a little bit tricky, but even like a small video clip that you could put of, or a time lapse of the build, whether you're doing it by yourself or with a student, to be able to go, you know, step 1, 2, 3 with pictures, but also a quick little video so the kids can kind of see the completed steps. I think that might be, I don't know how seamless that would be, but that might be kind of cool to offer.
Cool.
Also, I want to go around the room, but I'll probably forget. So forgive me for jumping back in for a second. Also, it puts a high value on process, which the kids do not value. And so imagine if this is like a social voting up system, and you know that other people might use this, they might actually put some pride into their upload. Even though, let's say a teacher as well, they're going to put pride, a prideful photo, like good background, not a crappy background, not a distractive background. They're going to do a good background. This is step one. They're going to angle it correctly, and put a good description, because now the process matters for the social media of it. Whereas before, in social media, it's always the shiny finished BS at the end, which is not real. We want to see, how did you get there, and how is this helpful for other people? So it's kind of like this, the real nitty gritty,
See, the other thing is, I like the fast upload or the fast processing capability of getting the information to the system, but I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I want to do the project and model it my way first. Think about every way that the kid or student could mess this up, and then document that in a Word document of some sort. Then go through that with the student or students. Then come back and refine what I went through. Then upload what I have, because now I know that it's just not a fly-by-night. I'm drilling a hole here. Here's me drilling the hole. Oh, wait. I got to put a new picture up because I drilled the hole in the wrong spot. Or this jig only worked for 3 holes, not 80. So I need to sit down and really think through the process. That's me.
Yeah. Well, and that goes along with what we were talking about on the phone earlier, which one of the things Tim recommended was, so if Ron scrolls up a little bit, there's you can add a choose file, plans, choose file. And this is what, from talking to Tim, it sounds like he has a few sheets that go along with his projects, so it might be one page the cut list, one page might be a reflection form, one page might be the actual plans, one page might be a bonus content or whatever else. He wants to be able to upload multiple types of document, maybe not even utilize the step-by-step process of uploading a project, but warehousing projects that exist PDF form or document form.
Tim, I'm just going to mute you because of the driving, but you can unmute when you're ready.
So that's another good thought experiment to run. And I recognize that's a stylistic thing. I figured Ron would be in the same boat, just because Ron and I's style, I think, are similar in that way. Where I find myself like Ron, it's fast paced. Like I'm making up the project as I go anyways. and I just need the students to reference the image of step 5, and I know they're good. But I know that doesn't translate well for different types of projects. That's a more of an engineering project style of I think management, or a design project, because you're just showing design as you go. For some of the finer woodworking where you're doing more procedural operations, it's not always that user friendly. But I still want to know what the rest of y'all think, I guess, about the quick upload feature. Or would you be more in agreement with Ron, or maybe Tim? Not Ron's idea or Tim's idea, not Ron and Tim directly.
What do you got, Nick? Anything?
I like the format that's currently there, and there's always room for growth. So
sure.
And Corey chimed in before. What about who else is here? Mark,
Yeah,
even though
you
you're
said when
Duke's here. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, when you have a project and you're trying to upload something and it makes you click 50 different places to find out what you have to upload, or it can't upload that type of file, it's just frustrating. So like you said, easy way to upload will be awesome.
Okay. And that can apply to both. Again, it does not have to be an either or, just more of a thought experiment kind of.
That's good. And then Mark, even though you're not in the classroom, you got any thoughts on this?
I think Mark's in the water too. He's just swimming in the ocean there.
I've got something to add on that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like going off a little bit of a tangent here, it's kind of my brain's just grinding because I'm like, this is sweet. What if there was like a student community where, like in my classes, I've got required projects to teach them certain skill sets and tool operations, and then after they've completed that, they can do like a personal project of their choosing. Maybe there could be a potential horizon idea of, student projects where they document this, and then that could almost go into, the assessment of how they got to that project and market. But then other students could say, oh, so-and-so from Texas just did this charcuterie board with a cool inlay. I want to give that a shot and kind of maybe have a bit of, I don't know if that's an off tangent, but something to potentially think about.
So I love it because when I originally planned this project, I had 9 phases planned. And you're talking about a phase 9 idea that I had thought of at the time, and hadn't thought about it until you brought it up. So thanks for that. And it's actually was inspired in part by some of Ron's past ideas that we've discussed in the past. It could get robust enough where it's got a crowd grading system. You take pictures of the student takes pictures of their work. They upvote each other's work. There's a little bit of an anonymity to it. Again, creating that disconnect. I think teachers in some ways take on too many roles, right? We're educators, we're disciplinarians, we're judges, and I think that they can get in the way of the teaching learning relationship, because to show somebody that you're willing to learn from them, you have to show them you're vulnerable. And to be vulnerable to somebody who's going to put a final grade on something is kind of a tough ask when you really think about it. So could we incorporate a level of crowd grading and adding anonymity, that kind of that almighty judge? Man, I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that's cool. Is that what you meant, Corey? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Kind of that. I mean, students could vote on projects, but even just
100%.
having the students, detail the process of how they got it. I mean, we've talked about process over, final product. And I think that describing the process, and sometimes they don't know it right off the start when they have, kid wants to build a bookshelf or something. Do they know the whole construction of how to, set their rabbits or dados? Maybe not, but over the whole project, if they document it, now they've got steps. And if that helps another student or inspires another student to do something similar, or, I like that joinery, but I'm going to do something different and add that. I don't know. It could light the fire under somebody and be
and now
awesome.
The students are creating content, and that you're right. It would be cool. That would probably be maybe a cooler aspect of the student community than what I was suggesting. And Instructables kind of does this. You get on instructables.com. They do, they have a student page, and they do some of this. But it's like what we were talking about before. You can tell the people behind it, the scenes, haven't been in the classroom, and it's also not Instructables niche. Like, they got a little bit of a classroom functionality, but they're going for the hobbyists and the DIYers. So this would be kind of like that, but they do things that I draw inspiration from. Like, they do a competition. They'll say, upload your best woodworking project that you can make out of 1 2x4. I think it'd be really cool if we could host that on our platform, something similar.
That's cool.
Even the shop teachers, maybe there's a challenge for shop teachers, like design a project using, these are the materials, and throw your ideas up and, kind of have some judges or whatever, just see kind of what people are doing with limited supplies and see the different creative ideas.
I like that a lot. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. One, it'd be an awesome milestone to know we've reached if shop teachers have the time and capacity to take on that stuff for fun, right? Like, that'd be cool to know that we've lightened their workload enough that they can indulge in this way. But 2, also, this could help with the funding model a little bit, from like a Harbor Freight Tools for Schools process, because they're constantly studying what makes skilled trades education better. I don't want to say they would push an agenda per se, but if I told them, hey, through this platform, you can encourage shop teachers to adopt new best practices that you guys are discovering, maybe even competitively, man, they might have an interest in that. That's thoughtful, Corey.
I kind of got that bit of idea from Making Fun on Netflix, right? The kids pitch ideas and whatnot, but that whole competition, and we've done it in a couple of classes, an artisan class that we teach with woodworking and art, where it's, okay, these are the supplies and you need to design a project, and you let the kids go at it. And it's kind of cool near the end of the semester, once they have their, skill sets and kind of understand the process, and the finished product turns out pretty cool. So as shop teachers, I mean, I'd have no problem staying after school to, complete a challenge where, hey, we've got, a quarter sheet of plywood and a couple objectives. Let's see what we can do. Because I think that it's going to energize ourselves, and maybe you include the classes too and do like a class project for a competition or something. I don't know. Fun competition, I think, can bring out some really cool ideas and might help all of us down the road.
Awesome. Now I have a question, just kind of start wrapping things up a little bit. As it is right now, if all the bugs and glitches are worked out, would you roll this out with students next year?
I think it's still a little cumbersome. But what I had a question about, like, let's say, for instance, you got this thing and I'm on step 13 or 14, but then you go over here. If I go to my dashboard, it doesn't say what step the kid is on.
Okay.
Is that like intentional, or is there something I need to click or something?
No, it's an in progress development feature. It's on the board to address, but
all right. So now I'm at 100%.
Yeah.
If I go back here, is it going to say complete?
I don't know. I haven't done that yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got nothing here. I don't know where to go next. There's no submit or done or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. When I would roll anything out. You know what I find is kind of cool with the kids lately that I've been doing? I've been doing more experiments than ever before. But what I just say to them is I say, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. Can you guys help me? Here's what I'm planning. And believe it or not, when you set it up like that, the kids really calm down and they listen, because now you're being creative and you're not telling them what to do. And so, because that's every other class they have. This is the only class where they walk in and Mr. G's like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is like what I'm trying to accomplish. What would you do to go from here to here? And they're like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, all right, okay, that could work, So like, I would roll this out as a test, but on its own, without that premise, I think it doesn't seem like it's ready yet. Although I'm only interacting with it here on the website, with you helping me
Sure.
out. Also you got to be able to report. Like, there's got to be a button for reporting of, like, let's say something doesn't work or you got to comment.
Oh.
It should be right next to the feature. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can do that, but like, yeah.
Yeah. I think we can do something like that. Zach's got a pretty good idea for that.
Okay.
That we looked at earlier today.
Yeah. So that's me. I would say as an experiment. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Now, if everything that is presented to you as is worked flawlessly, so you could upload a project easy, it showed your dashboard and everything else. And as a non-experiment, would you roll it out?
I gotta think about it. What do you guys think?
I'd do it. Yeah, I've slowly went from, written project plans with CAD drawings to going digital, having steps to completion, which I'm currently doing, having some stuff in, we use Moodle, which would be a kind of a Microsoft program, and all that stuff takes time and there's some learning curves about it. But I think having that, instant, the kid could now you're using phones in the shop or the classroom, which have their benefit and cons. And I don't know if there's a different type of reporting, but I definitely give it a shot. I think this could be game changing for students as well as teachers to be able to find different projects, or you might have, a couple weeks left and a grade 9 kid doesn't know what to do. And hey, go check out Capable Maker, and boom, oh, I want to build that project. Boom, there's the steps, some of that creativity that students lack right now. There's steps to completion with pictures and they're good to go. So I definitely give it a shot.
What do you think, Nick? Okay.
I want to say I would roll it out, but I'd have to see what is available. And like you said, Matt, some of it is cumbersome, or Ron said it. But I look at it as of right now, the way it sits, is more of a warehouse for ideas for me to glean from, than try to use it as a interface instead of something I hand out to the kids.
Okay.
Or
So-
or submit, through our Google Classroom or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if I can let go of that much control that, all right, just go to this website and show me that you got these badges type of thing. Like that's where the control end of me wants to say, nah, I like the idea, but I can't let go of that much. That, I would still want to glean ideas and make them my own, not
Sure.
just, all right, go and use this.
There is hopefully practicality to this platform without the student interaction. And I think that's what I hear you saying is, maybe you don't onboard students to this. And I think there's a lot of classrooms that might be real, because sometimes you just don't want them to have another account, another login or whatever else, and more screen time. And that's helpful to know, because then I know to weigh that in my decision making as to, it's still got to be a useful project warehouse, a place to get ideas and inspiration. Maybe just as much so as a place for students to interact.
What do you think, Duke?
Looks good so far. I only see the kids for 22 days, so I can't really. I can look into some aspect of it, but that's the thing too. Like, if you're gonna get other shop teachers to click on here, you got one click. You got to impress them with it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to roll out anything too soon, because they may not come back. If it looks good, you're going to keep that tab with the 20 other different tabs you have open. But if it's just something that, it looks all right, maybe I'll come back to it. They might not come back to it.
Super helpful. Yeah, that's good to hear. Tim had reminded me of that earlier today, and it's good to hear that from you guys, because there is this internal conflict of you can't keep it unreleased forever, right? But at the same time, you don't want to release it too soon to the point where it doesn't add the value that it needs to add to sustain itself.
I think a question I have for the other guys there too is, I wonder if about changing it how to suit your class. Nick was mentioning, not sure if I want to leave it just open to the students, but if you were to tailor this, and now it's going to be a little bit of back end or front load work to get your stuff submitted into here. But I'm thinking of it as, how can I transfer what I'm doing, put it into here to make it more useful, instead of just grabbing somebody's idea and saying, okay, you're going to build the Jenga block or whatever, but creating or taking what you do in your class or shop and putting it in here and seeing how that would work, as well as that project creation idea as well.
Yeah, you could really keep this isolated to just your classroom. Ron could upload just his projects. And I think it would have practicality just from that perspective for some without even the social networking component, just as a project management. These are the projects I run in my shop, go through them, check off your steps as you go. And, you know, when you upload a project, it just stays on your account. The only way it goes public or your badges go public is if you've sent them to me to make public at this point. So there is that flexibility. If somebody wanted to like really customize it, you really could. I'm even gonna, like, my wife is gonna play around with this for her English classroom. I think you could go beyond, you know, she'll create badges and kind of different writing prompts and writing challenges.
Any sort of application, you know?
Yeah. Just and I'm kind of curious to see how it works for. Obviously, it's not intended for that, but it'll be just another dose of insight on it.
You know what I would need to make this happen would be you know, on the fly, you know, because like I'll have a project, but each year I get a really slightly, you know, kind of like a slightly different set of kids, different set of circumstances. There might be a different administrator around, so it's like things kind of change each year, and the only thing that doesn't change is change. You know, like, so I always try and, you know, I roll out stuff and then I know I'm going to change it. Or I watch what the kids do and I'm like, oh man, they're all falling into this one trap. So if I could make changes to the project on the fly as I get feedback from the kids, like in here, can I change a photo? Let's say this photo doesn't quite jive with them. Can I make a change that like on the fly? Can I change stuff? You know, that would be an important step, you know, like this here, edit the project. Yeah, I guess I could. I can go right in here. Huh, interesting. I would try it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I would try one of the projects, of course. Yeah, why not? But in general, I would say that my style of teaching is that I'll try something and I'll ditch it halfway through. Like I literally, like, I'm the guy on stage and I'm just like, I'll just throw the guitar out and I'll grab the drums. Like I don't care. As long as we are moving forward. You know, so like if you know, like I gotta be able to switch. And the great thing about, I use a Google Classroom. The best thing about Google Classroom is it's non-committal. It's like a very generalized platform, very clean. I will say, not that you asked about this part, but the aesthetics, I know you're planning on making some upgrades or changes. The aesthetics are great. They're straight up. I feel like I'm on a mature website, you know.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah. Like, I don't know who thought, if you go on, like, I won't even pull it up, but if you pull up like any news organization or pop up, ad, feature, craziness. And it's like, what made you think that that's what I wanted? like I'm an adult. I'll make the choices here. I'm the one visiting, you know, like, you know, so what I liked it. There's these, you know, it's very simple. Like I just click there or I unclick it. It works. I got all these different things here. So I would say you're pretty close and you're on the right track.
Good.
You know, type of thing. But that's just me. There, like, for instance, I look at Google, like, give an example, right? If you go to Google, there's nothing here except for a few highlighted things, right? And if you go to, let's say, you know, if you type in like, you know, TSLA, they give you the stock, right? But it's so simple. Like, nobody's trying to convince me of anything. These are just the facts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But if you
Yeah.
go to Yahoo Finance,
Oh gosh.
oh my
Yeah.
God, it's a
Yeah.
carnival.
Yes.
And I've asked people who use Yahoo Finance to say, why do you like that? They go, oh, I love having all that information and people trying to sell me and I want and advertising. And I'm like, really? How could you like that? It's so distracting. So anyway, everyone's different. So I don't speak for everybody. For me, clean. And I think I think I would try this. I would definitely try it. You know.
Cool. That's good to know. And yeah, we got tidy on our style guide. That's something Zach and I talked to, keep it clean, keep it tidy. Your teachers don't want their eyeballs moving 5 different directions. Distracted by certain things. So the update won't be more flat. It will be cleaner than what we currently have, but it won't be more flashy.
Look at Yahoo.
Yeah.
Boom, a pop-up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a gift for me. I'll decide when I want gifts. Like that's not why I showed up here. I want to check on a stock. You know, like it's like, what is happening here? Look how crazy this is. Sign up here, pop up here. Any minute there's an ad playing at the same time. There's an ad on the bottom and over here.
And this is what happens when you tell students to search projects online. This is where they end up, is like Pinterest, 5,000 projects, 4,000 ads, just dragging their eyeballs everywhere.
This is cuckoo bird. How are you supposed to figure out what's important and what's not important? It's like
Tiny object.
What's that?
As far as the confusion of all the information overload, shiny object, and they get distracted with, this ad flashing over here, or, oh, I clicked on this link because I didn't read it, just was the larger link. And
this is, by the way, this is the same stock. TSLA. This is the same lookup. It's like, what? Anyway, okay. So I think, I would roll it out. But I would, I would have to run an experiment. So I can't say that I'll continue to use it. What I'm saying is I really like being able to ditch stuff. So it's not like I start with stuff and I ditch. I have to be able to pivot very quickly. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And hopefully I can make it so that it reflects some of that style of yours a little bit. Because like I said, I think I have some similar styles. I think being able to come up with a project real quick and just, say have a quick upload feature is something that attracts me. But again, these are not so much horizon ideas, but they are next phase ideas. So that's kind of why I asked, as it is, if we get the polish on all this, could you roll it out? And could it be, maybe just as an experiment, like I'm doing with some students right now. Because we can probably get all the bugs and everything worked out and have it function as it is easily. Like that's a pretty achievable challenge.
You got a couple months until September, so that's kind
of Yep. So and then once there's more people on, then it would help motivate and incentivize the investment to continue on with some of these more horizon features that we're discussing. But I'm super grateful everybody hopped on. I'm super grateful for your insight. Sometimes I get apprehensive sharing this out because, I don't want people to hold back punches. And like you guys were very candid, very forward with your input and ideas, and that is super appreciated. If you're I'll probably reach out and request, do you want to, go through a checklist of basic tasks and provide your feedback to me. I'll probably send out a request would you have projects you wouldn't mind if I uploaded to this database? So if you have any of those things, reach out to me project wise. If you're interested in testing, reach out to me. I'll probably send something out as well to encourage people to do so, to reach out to me in that way to provide that volunteerism if they're willing. And then, yeah, just the fact that you guys are engaging in this conversation, help validating ideas and help questioning ideas and help giving me clarity on how viable the idea is and how it exists is super helpful.
Cool.
Much gratitude, really. I'm going to show you guys this thing real quick I did with my Google Forms. I learned you could upload a GIF. Do you mind if I share my screen real quick?
Go for it.
All right, I'll just do this real quick because I think this will be kind of a useful value because you guys were talking about how you do your checklists and Google Forms and everything. I learned recently, and you're talking about short animated video, right? My students and I, we were experimenting, and we learned that we could add a GIF here. Check this out.
Oh,
So can you guys see that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the joiner guard, the cutter hard guard. And then, so on my joiner checklist, I have this: the cutter head guard is in place and springs shut completely. Sometimes those springs wear out and they break, and that cutter, and it's not good for that stay open. But doesn't that make that so much more sense having that GIF right there?
Yeah.
Just instead of like, imagine if it just said the cutter hard, like if you want to know how to do that, it's you got, unfortunately you got, I don't know if you can do it on Android, but on iPhone you can save a live photo as a GIF and then upload it that. So there's a little Google Forms tip for you.
Matt, I think you're on your way. I just wanted to, can I add just a few more suggestions while we're here?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine I've got a project started and I don't quite know if I'm going to get to I have a bridge to jump or to build. And I start the upload of the project, and then what if I had a collaborator? So like, let's say I had another teacher that's also looking at the project and they could create the bridge for me. Is that something that's a possible feature on your website? Is it like that you could leave the bridge part blank and another teacher could fill it in? Or maybe just to simplify that question, can you collaborate with someone on your writing of your project? Can you have two authors on one?
I had not thought of that availability of that functionality. The closest I'd come to would be you making a copy of my project and modifying it for your purposes. I had not thought of putting two authors on the same project. Nice.
Something,
good idea.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting,
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is like hard to product rollout is very difficult because you're asking these questions and then some of this stuff is practical and some of the stuff is like down the road. And then you're trying to get to a rollout.
It is because, again, like almost anything's possible, right? Like, again, this could be an Amazon shopping experience and almost even automatically ordering your supply, and it can get away from you. Like I've had to do a lot of, but I also don't want to discourage, especially from an actual shop teacher. Like, it's one thing if somebody shoots me a pie in the sky idea, but if I hear it from one of you guys, I want to hear it, because I know it's coming from a place of authenticity. So yeah, it is tough to decide how far on the horizon an idea is and to regulate yourself to saying what is an achievable challenge. Like, that's what I have to ask myself is what's the next achievable challenge. And but that's not to discourage any of that type of thinking, Ron.
Yeah. And then also, what about a almost like this, but you have a pre-September project load up meeting where you handhold helping people. Let's say there's like 3 or 4 or whatever, 5 teachers want to try it. We all get together and we're like, all right, what are you uploading? Let me see. So at least, like, I guess I'm similar to the kids in that even though I see the instructions, I've heard the instructions, but I might not do it until I see someone else doing it.
Sure.
And if we just do it together, it'll be okay.
That's why I had you drive tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like drive the website. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going to touch it that much. Right. I'm like, okay,
Right. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I totally understand that. Why do you want to log on to one more website, increase your screen time, and learn one
Yeah.
more thing? Yeah, we're all pushed. Yeah, I totally get that.
You know, so like if we just maybe we all work on it together, pre-September, get one project on there each, and then try it out, and then maybe midway have a conference, be like, hey, how's it going? Well, I was curious, I clicked this button and it kind of did this, and I had one student, and then one teacher might be like, no, you guys are doing it all wrong, this is how to do it, and then they know what they're doing, and then it like becomes something, like, you see. So like, even though this doesn't have community features yet, you could do a cheat. You are the community, because you got
That's
Shop Class Podcast and people know you, and we could do it like that. This way you have an upload party, and then it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I like
They
it.
call it break the beta,
Yeah.
right? How many times can you find the rub, right? The rub is always where something steers off. How many times can you break the beta? And then you just get everyone highlighting all the things that are awesome, and their comments become your added accelerator for those rough days when you're trying to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an accelerator, right?
I like
Mark Willie's got, I would assume, a ton of experience with this, because what's it like if you got a builder? I don't mean to extend this longer, I'm sorry, Matt, but like, imagine you got a builder that wants to use the T-stud, but doesn't know how, never put it in a build. Does sometimes a conference call help? And you're like, oh, well, yeah, this architect uses it. What does it look like? What does this look like?
A spark plug, a lug nut, right? A flywheel, whatever you have in life, someone's first time, the first thing is they don't need instructions. They know it all, right? That's a generational thing. And then another generational thing will always look for a video to figure it first, right? So there's the generational leaps. So depending who you talk to, you're going to get a different context, right? So some people are like, oh my gosh, these young kids. And the kids are like, oh my gosh, old man, why don't you just watch the YouTube video from the QR code, right? Because they're like, well, when we did. So you just have that different context. So when you have that change, it's like, it's like any Disney movie. The kids laugh at one jokes, the adults at the other. It's because it's meant to land differently. And the benefit of a rollout of a teacher is a teacher already knows that different listening occurs, right? A manufacturer just thinks they solved for everything because they fixed one problem, right? So you guys really have that advantage because you're used to monitoring, listening, and the rub's coming. So you're already expecting that there will be questions. You're already expecting those sort of things. One of the reasons I really enjoy this group is I'm always needing to be present. Sorry for leaving again, but you guys have that perspective.
That's cool. Yeah, it's true. It's going to hit differently. And then also, yeah, I'm expecting that the students are going to be annoyed and that I'll be stressed in the classroom, and that's the rub. Yeah, it's true. So that's why I was like, yeah, I'm like, how am I going to roll? Like, if I'm like, okay, I'm rolling this out, well, dude, I need an uploading party. That's what I need.
Nice. Good to know. That's
yeah,
awesome.
100%. On my own, August, I'll be juggling like last minute stuff, trying to get everything ready. And then, I might just like come into the classroom and honestly on the fly, I just put together my September's like an on the fly. I have my staples, but then I might, if I'm trying something new, I'm just going to try it live.
Gotcha.
Because I know that if I prepare, it's just going to change anyway.
Get derailed.
So,
Yeah.
that's why, so let me see.
I always say determine what's intuitive for you, and then let the rest of it, the voids in the statement, let that become an onboarding experience. It's semantics to say onboarding, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Because okay, the other thing I wanted to mention before I forget. Oh, and if someone wants to jump in, no problem. We'll leave time for that. But I wanted to tell you, I don't know if you know, Matt, are you following the Hammer app?
No, I'm not. How's that going for you guys? I know you guys are pretty involved with it.
Well, we're getting there.
Okay.
It's like I don't really use it that much, but I should be trying it because it's like it's Instagram for the trades. But
yeah, I remember.
We have a relationship with the people rolling it out.
Oh,
and
cool.
so yeah, so it's like that would be an interesting. I mean, I hate saying the word like should, but yeah, like you should talk to them. Like we should get you guys together because they've rolled it out. It's out.
Yeah.
And so maybe they could throw you some advice and be like, well, this is how we rolled it out, and we would do it differently this way or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, because this is a whole new world for me. Like talking to developers, talking to Zach, just even learning what Zach does exactly, and then asking him to do it. That's kind of like what Zach and I have been able to do the past few weeks. Expecting the timeline for development, how much, what's realistic, what's the cost, all these things. And thankfully, I do have like a mentor of sorts who coaches me on that. But the more the merrier, if you ask me, because each experience is different, and I'm going in pretty blind to all this.
Also, this conversation we had is very similar to. I was on a call with the Hammer app creators, and it's similar to this in that they're asking the same questions. You're doing the right thing.
Good. That's awesome.
Maybe,
that's good.
Maybe you do this on the regular, once a month or something like that. But I think it's helpful.
I think after the next update, I'll probably see if we can do something like this again, and then I have to see what tools for schools. I'll meet with them in July. First week of July. That'll give me an answer on maybe I think it'll be a third or fourth round of funding at this point. And then and obviously I'm going to use everything we've talked about here to relay to them because yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, does anybody want to add anything or any questions? All right. This is pretty good. So we'll end the recording here, but Shop Class Podcast. Product development.
Thanks everyone.
Awesome. Matt, you're amazing. You're making a product from a shop teacher perspective. This is awesome. I mean, it's a very cool thing. All right, Shop Class Podcast. See you guys next week.